Hey guys! So after reading some requests to further explain my Ode to the Loners AU, and yes, that's a new picture because the last one was really rushed. So what would have happened if Fire hadn't done all of that? The actions that made him possibly many people's least favorite character for killing Baby Feather. There was a better story set up for Fire that I want to explore in Ode to the Loners. What if, instead of doing all of that, Fire had an actual character arc in the right direction, and used many plot points sprinkled throughout all of My Pride to give us the good feels, instead of, the bad feels. In my Ode to the Loners AU, all the events of My Pride stay roughly the same up until episode 5, where Quickmane goes to kill Fire. After Proud goes to attack Quickmane, the band of no-mains don't actually split, but instead they stay together and run away as a group. The band of no-mains realize that unified they are much stronger, and, despite having to share food, as long as they move quickly, there's usually enough to feed everyone the minimum that they need to live another day. They even start welcoming new no-mains that they come across in their travels to the group with the use of something called the band bone. After much time of tribulation and tests, and wit and patience, Fire finally sees a pride he wants to take hold of. The main in charge is extremely old, and not nearly as strong or big as Barkmane in the original series was. So Fire gets himself psyched up to defeat this guy. Tangle's a little bit iffy about it, but drops it as none of the other no-mains try to stop him. As Fire pins the older main, he flashes back to the death of his dad and Spark. Instead of killing him, he decides to spare him and send him in the direction of the band of no-mains. In his pride, Firemane learns quickly that the Lionesses take pride law possibly even more seriously than his birth pride, so he keeps his past a secret, positive they would kick him out if they found out about his exception status, with not being killed by Quickmane like he should have been. He has his own cubs with the Hunt Chief, named Farsight, both baby lionesses. He witnesses both of his daughter's huntress assessments. One is absolutely exceptional, and is granted an honoring name, Steadyflight. Meanwhile, his other daughter makes a mistake, and her huntress assessment is cut off, and she's given a shameful name, Mudjump. Firemane doesn't let this happen though, vetoing the name and putting forth that his other daughter be given the rest of her assessment before such a judgment. When he is questioned, he doesn't implement his rule by force, but rather reason and logic. His daughter could be better at something that they have yet to test her on, and her name will not hold that strength if they don't give her the rest of her assessment. Farsight relents, and Firemane's second daughter is instead named Sharpnose, since she has an impeccable sense of smell and can locate prey from an impressive distance. Firemane thinks of nothing and wonders if what he did made his father proud. Not long after his daughters pass their assessments, another no-main, one with much more skill than Firemane, enters his territory. He's fully ready to take his life, but Firemane surrenders and pleads to be let go. The new main, realizing that Fire isn't actually trying any funny business, lets him wander back out onto the stretch, with the frank warning to never attempt to return. He misses his family, but he feels he did his part to open their eyes to some of the limitations of following Pride law too harshly. He isn't fully against Pride law yet, mind you, but he does realize some of the parts he doesn't agree with. After a while of suffering on the stretch and fighting with himself about Pride law, he comes across the band of no-mains yet again. The same older main Fire defeated, named Thistlemane, offers Fire the band bone, and Fire is welcomed back into the group, which has grown a lot larger since he last joined. Tangle is still there, and listens intently to Fire's stories of being a main and what others can expect. Fire sees how curious Tangle is and tries to set him up with his own pride. Tangle is of course uncomfortable with this idea, since deep down he knows he wants to stay with Fire in the band. But he follows along, not wanting to refuse his gift. However, the plan is derailed once they realize that the pride that they were investigating has tiny cubs that would need to be killed if a new main took over. They both agree that this is not the pride to try their plan on. However, Blaze, another no-main from the group, doesn't pass up this opportunity to take the pride, successfully killing the main and looking for the cubs who had hid from him. Fire is very confused on what to do. To kill Blaze for doing something so terrible, but then having to kill the cubs, or running away like he did as a cub, or... An idea comes to him. Fire and Tangle both nod to each other and find the cubs quickly, snatching them up and running back to the group before Blaze can find them. They then promptly GTFO. The group suffers from having to take care of the 2 cubs. One male, one female. But many defend them, including Fire and Tangle. Some no-mains split from the group and the cubs grow up. The female, who decided to name herself like a male, Pebble, naturally hunts better than most of the other males and teaches them how to hunt for better meals, which helps the group prosper after several months of bad luck with food. Fire proposes that the band of no-mains patrol each pride they know the whereabouts of to rescue cubs like the first 2. This opinion becomes popular among the no-mains after having their bellies full from good hunting. They rescue many more cubs from other prides on the verge of being ended by new mains. However, a lot of the females who grow up in the band don't like being called no-mains, so they change the name of their group to the Band of Loners. Fire, again, secretly asks his father if he's proud of him, and if he's doing the right thing by fighting against pride law. Meanwhile, with nothing. I haven't mentioned her in this whole story. Nothing's made it to the shifting place, but now she can't get out, and Feather, who was by her side up until finding the shifting place, can't get in. It seems like the shifting place will only let Nothing in, and no one else. As Nothing and Feather exchange a tear-filled goodbye, guess who stumbles upon them? None other than the Band of Loners. Fire also exchanges a goodbye with Nothing, and eases her conscience by telling her that he'll take care of Feather and bring him to the band, offering him the band bone. I told you guys this is pretty much the exact opposite of what happened in episodes 9 and 10. Feather accepts and sluggishly follows the Loners as the shifting place disappears. Feather's reluctance to leave Nothing is quickly cured when Fire explains to him the band's next mission in the Pride over the hill, as they've scented a rogue no-main near the border and want to rescue the cubs if the no-main manages to kill the current main. Feather is inspired and thrilled to join in, and as their worries were proven true, Feather rescues his first cub. Several seasons pass, and the group grows bigger, and Fire starts getting frailer and frailer. He finds it harder to keep up with all the younger members of the group, as does Tangle, who's never left his side since he returned. Some of the members think the older, more vulnerable loners should split off from the main group so that they don't slow them down. Fire actually agrees with this, wanting Feather and the rest of the newly grown loners to have a better chance at survival. But Feather argues against his proposal out of stubbornness and love for Fire and all the older loners who taught him how to be one. They decide to sleep on it and come to a decision in the morning, a storm brewing above them. Many of the loners wake up to smoke and fire. Lightning had struck a nearby grassy patch and lit most of the valley ablaze. Most of the loners manage to escape the flames, but some are still trapped inside. Fire, seeing 3 cubs surrounded by smoke and lit blazing grass, decides to go back for them. Despite Feather trying to leap in after him, Tangle holds him back, knowing Fire wouldn't want anyone else jumping back into the flames. Fire flings the cubs through the air, and the loners catch them with ease. Fire then realizes that he can't escape the flames, and he feels like he can't breathe. When a younger loner tries to get closer to him to rescue him, he roars at them and tells them to leave. The cubs' lives are more important than his, and then they need to get away from the smoke. Feather fights furiously to get to Fire, but Tangle, ever so loyal to the only lion he ever loved, carries the younger lion away by his scruff. Fire dies that day, surrounded by, well, fire. Feather finds his body after the fire stops, and demands that the whole of the group call to Azura, and so they do. Every single lion in the now massive band of loners call to Azura to come for Fire's spirit, and come Azura does. Fire suddenly finds himself surrounded by Quickmane, Thistlemane, Spark, Sharptongue, and of course, his father Starmane, who tells him that he couldn't be prouder of his son. So, if you guys want to see more of my AUs, or if you want to see my possibly unpopular opinions on My Pride, just let me know in the comments. Do you have any My Pride AUs? I'd love to hear about them. Also, psst, miss My Pride? I'm trying to put together my own series named Secret of the Shadow. There are still some voice acting slots open in the casting call if you want to be a part of it. Link in the description. Bye!